Welcome to everybody to this afternoon session of the FIB PhD Symposium. This is the session about durability and life assessment. I am here today with Professor Farid Boundjama and Professor Marco Di Prisco. I am a postdoctoral research fellow at University of Naples, Federico II, and I'm honored to be here today co-chairing this session with my colleagues. And now, if Farid, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Marta. So I am Farid Boundjama. I am professor at Laboratory of Mechanics and Technology at the University of Paris-Saclay. And I am working on shrinkage, creep, working on drying in concrete.
Perfect, thank you. And I will leave the word to Professor Marco Di Prisco for introducing the next speaker.
Okay, thank you, Marta. The next speaker will be Arunita Das. The title of the presentation is Numerical Investigation on the Influence of Concrete Cover on Bond Behavior of Reinforcement in Concrete After Fire. And the work is based on a PhD thesis with similar titles, so Behavior of Bond Between Steel and Concrete Under Fire at the University of Stuttgart.
So I'm Arunita Das. I'm a PhD student in University of Stuttgart. So I'm working on this topic of behavior of bond between steel and concrete under fire. So today I will be showing some of my numerical investigations on the same topic. So my professor is Professor Akanshu Sharma. He's basically guiding me. Along with him, Dr. Yoshipa Boshnak is already also guiding me. She is my co-guide. So to start with the topic, so as we all know that for a safe and effective transfer of stresses between reinforcement and steel, there should be an adequate bond between steel and concrete. So, but sometimes we see that reinforced concrete structures are subjected to several accidental hazards, such as fire. So in that case, the bond between steel and concrete are heavily affected. But till date, so we can see in several codes and standards, in several guidelines, the bond between steel and concrete in ambient conditions are very much well established, such as if you can see FIB Model Code 2010, then Euro Code, then ACI Code, everywhere it's very well established. But the bond between steel and concrete after fire, what happens, how to estimate the residual bond capacity is still lacking. So if we go through quickly the literatures, what previously all the researchers has done, so Morley and Royals, what they have considered hot and residual state in case of stressed and non-stressed states. And they have concluded that there is insignificant difference between the in case of degradation of bond between hot and residual states. They have considered pull-out specimen. You can see this. They have considered pull-out specimen. So it's basically a confined test. So later on, Hartz, Dedrich and Snyder, Bingol and Gyul, Lubloy and Balatz, they all have considered normal strength concrete, and they have also concluded that the bond degradation is roughly comparable to the compressive strength of steel. So all of them have been considered pull-out specimen and confined test setup. So Samsheldel later on, Samsheldel et al. They had the first one to introduce beam and test specimen in case of fire, but they have considered slow heating rate, which is 2 degrees per minute, and they have concluded that approximately 30% of bond retention after exposure to around 80 degrees of Celsius. Recently, my colleagues, Dr. Bosniak and Dr. Sharma, they have shown that using beam and test specimen and a realistic fire scenario, the degradation of bond is really huge, and the heating rate and type has a very huge impact on the results of reduction of bond. So the study which I will show here is the step forward to the same study which my colleagues has done, but I will be considering several other parameters, then several other numerical as well as experimental, and at the end of my PhD thesis, I would like to present a model so that in future people can calculate the residual bond capacity after fire. So basically this is my research significance, as I have already explained earlier. So we can see under ambient condition, bond behavior has extensively investigated, and we have all the formulas ready in our hand. We can calculate it very nicely, but I can say that till date, all the investigations which are carried out on bond behavior of fire, those are either using confined test setup or slow heating or pull out specimen or slow heating rate. So the numerical investigations which I'm showing you today is basically considering three different parameters. What is concrete cover, then the duration of fire, then type of fire exposure. So you can see the three different type of specimens I have considered. For all the specimens, diameter of bar were 16 millimeter. Then the minimum concrete cover were 24, that is 1.5 times the diameter, then 2.5 times and 3.5 times respectively. And I have considered a bonded length of 128 millimeter, and I have considered different heating durations. 0 indicates those specimens were not subjected to fire, those were basically residual state, then 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 90 minutes. So this is the beam and test setup which I have considered for this numerical investigation. This is not a pull-out test setup; it's a beam and test specimen. You can see that this is you can consider it's like a part of a beam which simulates well the boundary conditions of a full-scale beam. Basically, we can consider full-scale beam, but it's very much uneconomical sometimes, and it's not very easy to handle. So we have considered the beam and specimen, which is a little bit smaller in size, but which really simulates well the boundary conditions of a beam. But it's economical as well, and it's very easy to handle. So this is my test rebar, which is the this is the bonded length, which is considered as 8 times the diameter of the rebar for all the numerical investigation. So there is a unbonded length or debonded length, initially debonded length of 7 times the diameter, which is provided intentionally just to prevent a concrete cone failure of the structure. Then this is the stirrups, which are given exactly in the middle of the bonded length, and there is a spacing of 100 millimeter from each side. And the restraints which are provided during the pull-out test, I mean, the whole procedure was the specimens were first casted, and then they were placed in the furnace for a certain degree, a certain time of fire. Then they were allowed to cool down naturally. Then they were taken out from the furnace and they were pulled out. So the restraints which I am talking about, those are during the pull out after fire. So this restaurant is provided during in order to prevent uplift of the specimen. These restaurants are provided to prevent the specimens from sliding, and these restaurants are to provide to prevent the specimens to keep the specimen in position. But all the restaurants are provided sufficiently far enough from the bonded length so that there will be no effect of these restaurants on the bonded length. So this is the cross section. You can see this is the test rebar and the diameter, the concrete cover which I was talking about. This is the minimum clear cover here. So this I have varied in 3 different cases. In 3 different concrete cover I have considered, that is 24 millimeter, 36 millimeter, and 48 millimeter. So thermomechanical modeling, how I have modeled the structure. So all the numerical investigations are carried out using our 3D finite element software, which is our in-house software, which is called MASA. So here, temperature dependent microplane model, it was proposed by one of our professors, that is Professor Osborne, and which is used as the consecutive law for concrete. And in this case, the total strain of concrete at elevated temperature is decomposed into 3 components. One is mechanical strain, one is free thermal strain, and one is load-induced thermal strain. Then crack band method is used as a localized limiter, and smeared crack approach is considered for the simulation of the cracks in concrete. So this is the modeling approach in case of bonded length, which you can see in this figure. So this is the total test rebar. So this blue portion is the bonded length, bonded zone, where the bond strength was considered 12 Newton per millimeter square. And in this debonded zone, it's like very low. It's almost nothing. But in this MASA, there should be a minimum value. So we have considered 0.1 MPa. So the sleep is measured at the unloaded end, that is the rear end. So and later on, this bond versus sleep values are compared. So this is the typical bond stress sleep curve which we have considered for this numerical investigations. This is basically, this is one idealistic pull-out bond stress sleep curve which we have considered for this study. So this is the 3D finite element model which we are investigating right now. So these restaurants which I have already explained before. So this is the top uplift. This is the restaurant which is there to prevent the uplift, and these are there to prevent the sliding, and this is there to keep the specimen in position, and specimens are being pulled in the front end, and sleep is measured in the rear end, and this is the heat. Basically, this is the fire. This is the portion where fire is applied. So this is the this black line here is the ISO 834-1 fire curve, which is the realistic fire curve which we have considered in our study. So as I have mentioned, we have considered 15 minutes of fire, 30 minutes of fire, 60 and 90. So here I'm showing 30 and 60. 30 is this red line, 60 is this blue line. So it is following this curve. So here we are switching off the burners, and then it's coming down, and how during cooling down, how it is following. So this is the 2 noded bar elements which we have considered in this bonded zone. That means here, these are the bar elements where we have given this bond strength of 12 Newton per millimeter square. and this is this debonded zone, that means here and here. So here we have considered very less bond strength, that is 0.1 Newton per millimeter square. So in order to simulate or to check the results of the numerical simulations, we have carried out few experiments as well. This is the picture of a furnace, from inside view of a furnace, which we have captured. So first of all, these are the three beam and stay specimens which are stacked one over another inside the furnace. These are the blocks on both the sides to prevent this rebar to be exposed to the fire. And these are the thermocouples which are measuring the inside temperature of the furnace. These are the thermocouples which are connected with the concrete blocks or with the beam and test specimens, which are measuring a temperature inside the concrete. So these are the oil burners which are basically giving the or applying the fire inside the furnace. There are total 12 burners through which we maintained ISO 834-1 fire curve. So as I have mentioned earlier, so all the specimens were first applied the fire, and then the furnace were closed, and they were allowed to cool down for around 24 hours naturally. And then the furnace were opened the next day, and the specimens were taken out from the furnace, and then the pull out tests were carried out to check the residual bond capacity of the rebar. So this is the specimen which are already which were already inside the furnace. So you can see this red lines, which are the cracks which is generated due to fire inside the furnace. So here on the top also you can see. So basically, in order to make it a little bit economical, we have installed two rebars in one beam and test specimen. So bottom you can see there is one rebar, and top there is one rebar, but there is a sufficient distance so that there will be no effect on results of one rebar on another. So this is the rebar which is getting pulled in this direction, and this is the rear end of the rebar where one LVDT is installed to check the displacement. And later on, in order to calculate the slip of the rebar, the elongation of the rebar is deducted, and we calculated the slip. So on the top of the specimen, we have installed 4 LVDTs to check the or to measure the crack opening. Here you can see a closer view of that. So basically, there are 2 LVDTs which are applied or which are placed to check the splitting crack opening, and these are the 2 LVDTs to check longitudinal crack opening. We have placed 2 basically, so later on we have averaged the value of these 2 and considered that as a final value as a crack width. So yeah, so in order to go to the results, so you can see the bond stress versus rear end displacement curve which I have plotted. These are the numerical results. You can see for this around 12 to 14 MPa strength we are getting, whereas the even after 60 minutes of fire, that is 1 hour of fire, the bond strength has reduced a lot. You can basically see the bond stress percentage. Even after 15 minutes of fire, the bond strength has decreased to 60%. That means bond stress, the impact is really huge. Even after 15%, it has come down to 60%. Here is the temperature variation inside the layers of concrete. So basically you can see the top layer, when the top layer is around 550 degree, the bond layer, I mean between concrete and steel, it's around 170 degree. So there is a huge difference in the temperature gradient. This is what we wanted to capture. This is a very key point in our study, that the temperature gradient, which is playing a key role in our study, and that when the top surface is reaching around 500 degree or 600 degree, the bond surface is still almost cooled down or around 150 degree to 200 degree. So there is a huge temperature gradient, and which is due to that there is a huge concrete crack. So once there is a crack, the bond strength goes down drastically. So basically fire has twofold effect. One is material degradation and one is temperature temperature gradient. Material degradation cannot really show this effect, but due to this temperature gradient, we can see that there is a huge degradation of the bond stress. Here you can see the validation with experiment. These are the numerical models. These are the experimental results. So this back, there is a transverse crack. First, this crack appears due to the concrete tension failure, and slowly longitudinal crack comes. So all the investigated parameters, all the specimens has failed in splitting failure. So we can see that all the specimens we are getting longitudinal splitting crack here also. These are the reference specimens which were not subjected to fire, and these are the specimens which are subjected to fire. Here also we can see the splitting failure. So instead of pull out failure, we are getting splitting failure, and which is restricting the bond capacity. And this can be explained only by the temperature gradients. So I will quickly go through the conclusion part. So exposure to standard fire results in a strong degradation of post-fire bond capacity, even for a relatively short duration of fire. So this is basically due to the thermally induced damage, which is triggered by the temperature gradients. And the effect of material degradation is also there, but the effect is not that severe. This is what the basic difference of considering slow heating and considering the real fire scenario. And we, in our case, we have considered unconfined test setup, which simulates well the real behavior in case of a beam or a slab. So the effect of thermal cracking on relative bond degradation can outweigh, and the parameters generally affecting the bond. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Arunita. We have time for about 6 minutes of question. I received already some question from Brahima. After saying that is a good work, I would like to know the limit of the model you adopted. Which limits, in your opinion, you have in the model that you adopted?
What are the limitations you mean?
Yeah, of the model you adopted.
Okay, so one is basically the bonded length. Bonded length, in our case, we have considered 8 times the diameter of the rebar. Because we consider that if we all know that if we consider longer length, let's say 20 times diameter or 30 times diameter, then bond strength is not uniform. In our calculation, we have considered a smaller bonded length, and we have calculated the bond stress by dividing the bond, dividing the force by surface area. So if we consider the higher bond length, a longer bond length, then the bond strength is not uniform, and we cannot consider this particular formula. Basically, we are working on this bond length. Maybe in my next presentation or so, I will be showing some results on this bond length. So this is one limitation. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. There is a second question related
Yeah.
to the failure mode. I observed that you spoke about a failure mode that was that passed from a pull out to splitting. I don't know if there are other comments about it.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Are
failure.
there?
Mhm. What's the question?
Always you pass from pull out to splitting.
Yeah, because basically in our case, we have considered the thickness of or the concrete cover, which is very, very less, or which is very realistic, around 25 to 36, which generally we provide in case of a beam or in case of a slab, which is much more lesser than all other dimensions. And in that case, all the cracks are so gradually reaching to the surface, and we are getting splitting failure very much prior to the pull-out failure. So once there is a failure, then the bar comes out, so which is basically restricting the pull-out capacity. So in this case, we cannot consider the pull-out strength. So splitting failure governs, so we should consider the splitting strength as a bond strength.
And there is another question from Daniel Cassiani. In your numerical simulation, did you take into account only the volumetric expansion due to high temperature, or did you also take into account the degradation of the cement past structure?
No, we didn't consider the degradation of cement press structure in our study. Basically there are some studies which were already there. There are some literatures also. If you are interested, I can show you in our, or I can share in our university. There were already some studies on the degradation of concrete in case of fire. So all the things, concrete compression strength, tensile strength, everything were pre-calculated, and I have considered those values and incorporated in this software. So but for my particular studies, I didn't consider this part, because these are already calculated. So basically my focus was to check after fire bond stress scenario, or after fire residual bond capacity.
There is also another question about Rui Valenti. Have you measured slip during the pull-out test? If yes, why don't you compare with the numerical results?
The sleep value, you mean?
Yeah, slip.
Yeah. We have also considered sleep value, and we have compared with the numerical results and experimental values. There are comparisons, and we can see which are really comparable. So whatever we are getting in numerical simulations, it's very more or less similar in case of experimental investigations as well.
Okay, I don't know if there are any other questions. Perhaps just one, my curiosity.
Yeah.
You spoke about the shear band. Have you considered the size of the shear band constant with the temperature, or you modified it?
Yes,
with the
constant.
Temperature?
Yeah, constant.
You consider constant?
Yeah.
No, because there are some literature that justify a change of the shear band with the temperature.
Yeah, but
and usually there is an increase.
Yeah, for this particular study, we, as I have already mentioned, that I am considering only few parameters. This is my PhD thesis, so I am considering also few other parameters, and maybe at the end of the day, I will be accumulating all the parameters and try to give a model. So what you have told, the change, this change will I will also consider in future days, but as of now, in this particular study which I have shown, it's not considered.
there is a final question from Iveta Novakova. Did
Yeah.
you measure temperature gradient in the different depths from heated surface by inbuilt thermocouples, or did you use mathematical model
No,
for
no.
determination of
For
temperature?
experimental, I can show you. For experimental, I have inbuilt thermocouples as well. I have shown you here. Maybe the picture is not that visible. So here you can see some lines, black lines. Maybe is it visible? So these black lines, these are the thermocouples which are installed inside the different layers of concrete, which are connected outside in the computer, and which are thermally proofed, so which will nothing will happen in the temperature. So which are giving the temperature, inside temperature during the fire. And
Okay.
these are to measure the furnace temperature. So there are basically two sets of thermocouples which are installed during this experiment.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Aruniti again. Now
Thank you so
we've
much.
finished our time, and so we remain connected, and in 20 minutes we start with the celebration.
Yeah,
Okay?
thank you so much. Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, President.
Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you, my co-chairman.